Shots in your scene do not exist in isolation from each other. In addition to making the images look correctly balanced, your job as a colorist is to ensure that the shots match one another and that they fall within established technical standards for your specific delivery medium. Once the shots have been normalized, you can begin the process of styling each shot to create a specific look or grade. So this is where the distinction between color correction and color grading comes into play, though both terms often are used interchangeably. Color correction generally refers to the normalization process, where each clip's contrast and color is improved, whereas color grading refers to making each shot conform to an artistic standard set by the director, or DP. Start by opening up the Lesson 17 timeline using the History menu at the top of the viewer. Then select Shot 7. This interview was shot with a Generation 4 Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Now select Clip 4. This B camera was shot with a Canon C100 and looks very different in tone and color than the wide shot. And this illustrates an important issue that you'll have to deal with before you start color correcting, and that issue is called color space. When mentioning color space, most people's eyes start to glaze over, because it can be a complicated subject. This is because each camera manufacturer tries to give you the best looking image possible for a specific delivery medium. So it's possible to have clips that were recorded for output on an HD television, while other clips are recorded in a way that exceeds what an HD television can display. And when you begin mixing all these clips from different cameras in the same timeline, you'll soon have a headache-inducing cocktail of clips with different brightness levels and color makeup, which is why these two interview clips look so vastly different. This is where Resolve Color Management comes into play. In a nutshell, DaVinci Color Management provides a project-wide solution for ensuring that every clip has the same starting point for processing and displaying the image. Start by selecting Clip 07. This clip has a flat or muted look because we shot it using a log profile to give us the maximum amount of latitude when grading. We can make this shot look more normal by having Resolve Color Manage it for us. Press Shift 9 to call up the Project Settings window. Select Color Management in the sidebar, then set the color science to DaVinci YRGB Color Managed. With automatic color processing selected, you simply choose your working color space, either SDR or HDR. Then choose the color space you'll be outputting using this menu. Since SDR is the most compatible color space for delivery to the web or broadcast, make sure this is the option you see for both menus, then click Save. When you change the color space, it will apply those settings to any new timelines you create going forward. However, the timelines you've been working with to follow along are using the previous color space settings of the project, so we'll need to deal with that. Reveal the media pool and select the master bin. Right-click on the Lesson 17 thumbnail and choose Timelines, Timeline Settings. Select the Color tab. Here, you'll see the currently applied color space settings, and they reflect the previous color space settings of the project before we changed it. Place a check next to Use Project Settings. Once you do this, you won't be able to make changes to the timeline color space because you're telling Resolve that you only want the color space settings of the project applied. Back on the color page, Clip 07 now has a normal-looking contrast and color saturation because it's being processed in the SDR Rec 709 color space. If you select clips 10, 15, or 17, you'll see they were processed the same way because they came from the same camera. It's important to understand that you have not color corrected the clips, even though they may appear to look better. You've only changed the starting point for how the image is interpreted and output to your display device. Going back to the media pool, there are 3 other timelines that need their color spaces converted. Using the process I just showed you, change the color space settings of Lessons 22, 23, and 24 to make them match the color space settings of the project. Just by looking at the shot, you can tell that it's overly warm, meaning that the shot's color balance appears to have a reddish cast. Now you could use the temperature control and drag left to add more blue into the image. -500 looks about right to my eyes. Press Shift D to toggle the correction on and off. It looks pretty good, but I'm still not sure how neutral the image is. There may be some color tint in the blacks and whites that are giving me a false impression that this shot has been normalized. I'll reset the temperature. In the upper left of the lift wheel is a white cross with a black dot next to it. This is the black point color picker. There's also a white point picker to the upper left of the gain wheel. Click on the black point picker to activate it. Then move it over the image. You're looking for a feature to click on that's supposed to be black, and not something that's some other dark hue. It's also important to click on something that has some detail, like a black fabric, a fold in clothing, or something painted black. I happen to know that the hat I'm wearing meets that criteria, so I'll click on it. Wow, that's pretty intense. What just happened? The black picker did two things. First, it lowered the blacks in the image to absolute black, and now they're all sitting at 0 in the waveform. And second, and perhaps more importantly, it removed any unwanted color cast in those blacks. To bring back some of the lost detail in the shadows, drag right on the lift wheel until the Y value is negative 0.06. Now let's do the same with the white point picker. Select the tool, then locate a feature that's supposed to be white, and not off-white. The sign hanging in the background has some white in it. Click in between the letters. The white levels have been boosted to their maximum value, and as a result, they exceed the threshold for what is considered legal for broadcast. Additionally, any red values that happen to live in those white pixels were also neutralized. To deal with these super white levels, drag left on the Gain Master wheel until you see all the traces in the image that were hiding above line 1023. These traces represent the sunlight coming through the wood planks behind the subject. There's no image detail here, so we can keep boosting the gain and just ignore them. The subject's face is the important part, not the background. Drag until the Y value is 1.09, then press Shift-D to see a before and after. I think the image could use a boost in the midtones as well. Drag the master gamma wheel to the right until the Y value reads 0.03. When color correcting, it's always a good idea to enable looping and play the entire shot. We've been doing our corrections looking at one frame. Playing the entire clip will reveal any problems in other parts of the shot, like a white balance change midway through the shot. I like the primary corrections we've made so far, but that red refrigerator in the background is visually overbearing, and we need to deal with it. Select the first node and press Option S, or Alt S on a PC. Select Hue versus Sat from the Curves menu. Then move your cursor over the red object and click to sample it. The color spectrum displays continuous color from left to right, so red appears on both sides of the spectrum, but it's the same red. Drag downward on the center control point to lower the saturation in the red. That's great, but there's one minor problem. The subject is wearing a red shirt that is also being affected by this change. To deal with that, we're going to use a mask, or what Resolve calls a power window. Click the Window button in the center tool palette. There are 5 different windows to choose from, and they appear along the left. We're going to create our own window shape using the Curve tool. Select the item that looks like a pen. Move your cursor over the image. Click to create a point on his sweatshirt hood, then begin adding additional points to enclose his shirt. When you need to create a curved shape, click, hold, and drag outward from the control point. Add more control points as necessary, then close the mask shape. Currently, any adjustments you make will be limited to inside the mask, which is not what we want. Click this button to invert the mask. Now his red shirt is protected from the changes we made to the refrigerator using the Curves palette. With those 2 corrections in place, we can move on to giving the shot a stylized look, or grade. From a creative standpoint, the shot feels too warm and friendly for a guy talking about alien abductions. I want to add a look that makes him feel slightly unhinged from reality. Before we begin the grade, let's name the nodes. Right-click on the first node and choose Node Label. This is the node where we applied our normalization pass to, so name this Primary. Repeat this step on the second node and name it Secondary. This is the node that houses the adjustments we just made to the refrigerator. By the way, the icons at the bottom of the node give you a quick visual as to the types of corrections that were applied. In this instance, we see a curves icon and a mask icon. With the second node selected, press Option S to create a third node. Name this node Style. At the right side of the Primaries palette, you'll see the controls called Offset. The offset controls allow you to make linear adjustments to rebalance the entire tonal range of the image in all color channels. For example, perhaps we want to add a green color wash to the image. Drag the color balance control toward green on the color wheel. The entire image now has a green cast, which offsets any changes you made to the lift, gamma, and gain controls to the left. To see this more dramatically, click this button to reveal the color bars panel. In this palette, you have independent control over the red, green, and blue channels. Notice that our adjustment using the offset color wheel shows that we've removed red, blue, and a slight bit of green to produce this particular color cast. If you look to the left, the RGB bars for lift, gamma, and gain are still in their neutral positions. What's especially useful about these color bars is that you can target a specific color channel to create the look you're after. Reset the offset controls. Now drag downward on the red color bar until the value reads 14. With only the red reduced, the image now has a bluish-green cast to it. And if you return to the primaries wheels, you can see where that adjustment falls on the color wheel. Now let's toggle the grade on and off to see it compared with where the image started. Wow! If there is any question as to why you should color grade, I hope this answers it for you. And here's the thing, from a creative standpoint, you might have taken a completely different approach to the shot. There's no right or wrong here. It's your creative vision that will drive your decisions for a given shot or scene. If you look in the timeline, there are 3 other interview clips that were shot in the same location under identical lighting conditions. This is a textbook example of when you would copy and paste grades. Hold down the Command key or Control key in Windows and select shots 10, 15, and 17. These are the shots we'll be copying our grade to. Now right-click on the thumbnail for shot 7. This is the grade we want to copy from. From the menu, choose Apply Grade. Voila! The grade is pasted to each selected shot, which of course includes our entire node tree from shot 7. Pretty cool. But wait, there's a better, faster way to do this if you're using a 3-button mouse. I'll remove the grades from those shots by selecting them, and from the color menu choose Reset All Grades and Nodes. With the shots you want to grade still selected, move your mouse pointer over shot 7, then middle-click using the scroll wheel. With one click, the grades are pasted to the selected shots. If that feature alone doesn't convince you to go out and get a 3-button mouse, I don't know what will. Instead of copying and pasting nodes from one clip to another, you can save your grades for future use by saving them as a still image in the gallery. Select shot 7, then right-click on the viewer and choose Grab Still. Click on the Gallery button to reveal the still you just saved. This is a reference still that contains all the information for recreating that correction on another shot. As you save stills, it will become increasingly difficult to remember what those stills do. Right-click on the still and choose Change Label. Name the still Teal Wash and press Return. Let's apply this grade to shot 4, which is our B camera. In the gallery, right-click on the still and choose Apply Grade. In the node editor, the entire node structure stored with the still is applied to the clip. The applied grade looks fairly close to the wide shot, but we won't know for sure until we compare them. But first, we need to make some minor adjustments to the node tree. Select the secondary node and delete it because it contains a power window that does not apply to the close-up. Disable the Style node, then right-click on the primary node and choose Reset Node Grade. In the Color Wheels palette, set the lift to -0.03, the gamma to 0.02, and the gain to 0.91. Then re-enable the Style node. One of the goals of color grading is to match shots in order to create visual continuity. With shot 4 still selected, double-click the still. By default, a horizontal split screen appears in the viewer. The shot from the timeline appears on the left, and the selected gallery still appears on the right. But because of how each image is framed, we are not seeing our subject in the split. Right-click in the viewer and choose Invert Wipe. Dragging in the center allows you to change the split ratio. If you prefer a vertical wipe, click this button. The face appears to have a bit more red than the wide shot. Watch the waveform, then drag right and left on the split screen. The waveform shows the same split screen in the traces. Drag until the split is over his nose and mouth in the close-up. This will eliminate any traces for the background elements in the shot, so we can just focus on where his face is falling in the waveform. With the second node selected, change the primaries palette to color bars. Using the offset controls, drag the red bar downward until the value reads 9. Now drag the wipe left and right, and you'll see that the shots now match each other nicely. Turn off the wipe using this button when you're finished. We're now ready to move to the next lesson, where you'll learn alternate methods for adjusting white and black points using curves, and how to perform secondary adjustments using qualifiers.